as I said at the beginning of the call last week, I think sometimes that we forget that how we sound on the phone is really important. And I think etiquette is one of those words that people are like, I'm very polite on the phone. I know I am. I know I'm handling it well. I don't need an etiquette lesson. And I am not saying that anyone needs an etiquette lesson. I'm just sort of want to give some gentle reminders about some sort of nuances of how we deal with people on the phone, because I think it can be very easy to forget that that is a person in need who is calling our office, because every time the phone rings, there's a reason why that person's calling in that moment, and we need to do everything we can to take advantage of that small window of time and help convert those callers to new patients and get them in the schedule. So the first thing I started with the call last week was asking for what annoys you when you call a medical office or a business. What's the most annoying thing that happens when you call? And mine was when I call and someone says, doctor's office, please hold, and puts me on hold immediately. To me, that's rude. I would appreciate it if they at least said, could you please hold? So I had the chance to answer, for a couple reasons. One, because that just seems appropriate. It seems polite. And also, what if I can't hold? What if it's an emergency? That person didn't even take the time to think about me as a person. They're just answering the phone to get it to stop ringing. So I would just appreciate if you do need to put someone on hold quickly after answering the phone, either saying, would you mind if I put you on a brief hold? And 99% of the time, someone is going to say, that's fine. If you feel like you can take a moment to say, or if you think that it's gonna, be a long hold, then what you could say is, instead of keeping you on hold, would you mind if I took your name and number? I will call you back in the next 10 minutes, and give them an appropriate amount of time. Because I think that way the person understands that you're busy, they don't want to be sitting on hold waiting, thinking you're not going to take care of them, and everyone's bases are covered. So for me, it's a huge pet peeve. I cannot stand it. I think it comes off very rushed and very rude, and we don't want anyone to feel like we don't have time for them, right? We want every person who calls to feel like we are going to take care of them. We will make time for them, make time to take care of them. So that's my annoyance. I think a couple other people said that was annoying. A lot of people said they didn't like if the phone wasn't answered and it just went to voicemail. I completely understand that too. That would be, I guess, number two, or in the front running with putting me immediately on hold. Hopefully, and I think every office that I spoke with last week said they were able to stagger their schedule in a way, or stagger their lunches in a way, however they do it, so that the phone is always answered. I think it's really important that you find a way in your practice to always answer the calls. I understand after hours, that's a whole nother conversation to have, whether you have an emergency line or you're outsourcing to a call center, but during your office hours, the phone needs to be answered for a couple reasons. One, because if it's during lunch, I understand your team needs a break, but guess what? The majority of people who are calling to try to find a dentist or make an appointment, they're calling in their free time during their day, which is usually during lunch. So if they call and you're closed, they're thinking, so they're closed for lunch. I only have half an hour. I'm just going to call the next person on the list because I need to get through this. I have it in my mind now that I want to make this appointment and I want to take this chance to just get it done. So ideally, you're staggering lunches so that you can answer the phone. I have worked with an office before who never answered the phone. Every call went to voicemail because they always had a patient standing in front of them and felt like it was more important to deal with the person standing in front of them than the person who was calling. And I disagree with that. I feel like both of those people are equally important, and there is a way to handle that situation. So I think that the first part of this is making sure you can stagger your schedule. I know we had an office last week that I'm going to talk to separately offline because they said they stagger lunches and they still feel like they're having a hard time answering. So we need to work on that because that could be maybe too many things are happening during the call. You're answering too many questions. You are allowing the caller to control the call instead of you controlling the call. And that's something we'll deal with in the next couple weeks. I'm here to help you figure out what the sort of roadblocks are and find ways to fix them.